are on a Friday morning. Made it to the end of another week, folks. Let's be thankful. Good morning, my dear friends. I'm George Grant, and welcome to today's edition of Gudday Grenada. Those of you who've been able to find the time, great. I see that T.F. Richards is already on there this morning. He was just waiting on me to touch that little button there, and he's on, saying good morning to his family. Good to see you, TF. And I guess the rest of the mob will be showing up momentarily. Friends, here comes Donna Joseph. She's saying she early today. Yes, Donna, but TF beat you to it, girl. You're going to have to try again on Sunday morning or any day next week. It seems like you guys are taking turns and being the first to log on. Whether you're early or late, we're just glad, because we're glad you're here, because remember, program's always going to be up on Facebook just a couple of minutes after it ends here live. We're live right now. And by live, I mean with a delay of about 30 seconds or so, sometimes 45, sometimes as much as a minute, depending on how the internet's behaving on that particular day. So, let's get into today's rundown, which I imagine that you folks have already said. Hey, here comes Fitzroy, saying good morning from a beautiful Brooklyn. Yeah, man. Hello, Fitzroy. Good to see you. Those of you on Facebook already have seen the rundown, and it says that GBN takes National Democratic Congress to task. Yeah, that happened a couple of, actually the release that I'm going to read for you came out yesterday, but this is something that happened the night before. We'll tell you all about that in just a wee bit. You're also going to hear that those of you who drive around this island on, over the carnival season, watch out. Them cops going to be out in full force. Actually, they are already out, as you're about to find out. We also have this week, not this week, but this morning, the national report for you. That comes your way in just a wee bit. And then, yes sirree, Mr. Brian Pitt always has his eyes wide open. This gentleman loves his country dearly, and he's keeping an eye on things that are happening around the place. And fortunately, we are honored to have him share his views, his thoughts with us every Friday morning. I haven't spoken to him since we all got together last week, but no news is good news, so I expect that Brian is going to be showing up. Now, let me explain this to you before I read the statement which was issued by GBN yesterday. On Wednesday evening, I had a few people over here. Ray Roberts, Sharon, George Worm, some other, Margaret was here, and some other people, Sharon. And we were having dinner, and somebody pointed out to me a statement or a comment made on Facebook, social media, that apparently during the GBN newscast on that night, Wednesday night, there was a sudden interruption. And that interruption apparently happened while they were carrying a story about the National Democratic Congress. Well, I can tell you the NDC had a press conference that day as well, so it was probably an excerpt from that. The NDC took offense to that. They got up in arms. And apparently, folks, yesterday sometime, I imagine yesterday morning, because I got this release in the afternoon, they started to picket the GBN studios just up the street here at Observatory Road. And as a result, apparently they were crying foul because of the interruption. Well, the managing director of GBN issued a statement yesterday afternoon. And I'm going to read that for you right now, verbatim, okay? I quote, "The Grenada Broadcasting Network has taken note of a picket which occurred on the company's compound at the Observatory Road headquarters on Thursday, July 25th, 2019. The protest was effected by members of the National Democratic Congress. To date, the management of the network has not been contacted by the party or its agents with regard to the source of its discontent. However, upon monitoring a live feed, which was streamed via social media by the NDC's Randall Robinson and Philip Alexander on the NDC's Facebook page, the GBN garnered that the picket was undertaken because of a transmission gap which occurred during the airing of the nightly television newscast on Wednesday, July 24th, which highlighted a press conference hosted by the NDC. The GBN wishes to make it categorically clear that there was no act of sabotage on the part of the network, as has been alleged. Viewers and listeners of the GBN would note that the company has been experiencing a series of electrical outages during the past 5 days, which have interrupted regular programming. The most recent episode occurred between 5:15 p.m. and 5:45 on Wednesday, July 24th, and again at approximately 6:30 p.m. on that evening as well. While the nightly television news was in progress, another outage occurred at 7:07 p.m. while the story in question was being aired. An electrical crew has been in the building seeking to diagnose and rectify the problem. The GBN reiterates that at all times it has acted objectively and fairly in covering all elements of the news landscape in Grenada, seeking comment and giving voice to all sectoral groups, including the National Democratic Congress. This is exemplified through the network's accommodation of the NDC every Tuesday morning between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on the daily current affairs program, To the Point, at no charge. Further, the network also accommodates the party on Thursday nights on the Release It program on Classic Radio. With regard to the cell phone subject, the GBN, of its own accord, solicited and received comment from the former NDC political leader, Mr. Tillman Thomas, on the subject, and carried same in its newscast of Monday, July 15th, 2019. Mr. Thomas also represented the party on the GBN To the Point program on Tuesday, July 16th, when the subject matter was also addressed at length. GBN News once again carried excerpts from that program in its nightly newscast on July 17th, Thursday. On Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, the NDC's Glenn Noel also addressed the subject matter on the To the Point program. The management of the GBN wishes to assure the public that it takes its responsibility to present a professional product to viewers and listeners very seriously. And it would be foolhardy for the network to deliberately engage in any action which would compromise the integrity of its premier news product. The full report in question was aired on the same night in the 10 p.m. repeat broadcast of the news. at 6:45 a.m. on Thursday and at 10 a.m. on Thursday, and was posted on the GBN Facebook page and has been viewed by more than 6,300 viewers. The GBN regrets the unfortunate incident which occurred during the newscast on Wednesday, July 24th, and wishes to assure the public that it remains committed to the production and delivery of top-quality broadcast products at all times. Pilgrims, that's the text of a statement issued by the GBN yesterday afternoon. Now, I mentioned to you that when I found out about this was Wednesday evening, we were having a little get-together here. And I actually excused myself from the get-together and went to take a look at my TV to see the rebroadcast at 10 o'clock. Sure enough, at 10 o'clock, the story was aired in its entirety, okay? So, you put two and two together. I don't know what's going on here, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Because of the climate here in Grenada, I do recognize the apprehensiveness of the NDC because of the climate. But you know me, I got to be fair. I call the shots as I see them. And yes, I did see the rebroadcast, and it was absolutely fine. Which says to me, you know, if this was done with any malintent, you know, why would they run it at the original at 10 o'clock that night and again twice on the following morning? Okay, I do understand that. So I do understand. But maybe the gun may have been jumped on this one. Next up, as carnival activities intensify, and in an effort to reduce motor vehicular accidents and curb other traffic infringements, the Royal Grenada Police Force continues to set up the enforcement of traffic laws, to step up the enforcement of traffic laws and regulations. On Wednesday, the 24th, a number of operations were conducted across the country. Over 200 vehicles were checked, 60 fixed penalty tickets were issued, and 5 male persons were arrested for driving without a driver's license. Most of the tickets issued were for driving without seatbelts, speeding, defective tires, unlicensed and uninsured vehicles. As the RGPF continues its operations, drivers are reminded to please obey all traffic laws and to be patient throughout the carnival season, since traffic delays are to be expected. That's because, you know, you're going to see them stopping traffic all over the place. All right. Let me say good morning. Hey, TF is there, Donna is there, Fitzroy, John is saying good morning. That's John hey, both Johns, and both in Carriacou are saying good morning. Anthea Rello, hello, Anthea. Kipling Francis is saying good morning and blessings to all. Don't forget to share, and please bear in mind we cannot give the powers that be all the blame. Remember, the majority of them there, although not in the last election. T.F. Richard says, George, GBN does not have a managing director. GBN has a large puppet whose strings are tightly pulled by the puppet master, and we all know who that is. He also goes on to say, I give them the benefit of the doubt, but these things happen in broadcasting. Absolutely. If it was maliciously done, then let their conscience be their guide. Amen. Okay, TF, that's fine. Donna Joseph says, it's time the NDC start looking into building a better, stronger party and going out to meet people in order to bring them into the party if they want to make a stronger impact on the governance of this country, instead of this petty picketing. of the GBN over this matter because they already know that this regime has control over the GBN. So if there were a technical glitch, they should have tried to understand and wait to see if such would happen again before they go out and make fools of themselves. Donna goes on to say, there is so much more going on in this country, worse than a broadcast interruption. Oi, Donna, hit the nail on the head. Pilgrims, don't want to be too late this morning, so let's take our first little break here and we'll come on back.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Malcolm X is known the world over as a civil rights leader, black nationalist.
The Institute for People's Enlightenment, in collaboration with the UWI Open Campus Grenada, presents the 2019 Commemorative Emancipation Lecture at Norton's Hall, Church Street, St. George's, on Monday, July 29 at 5:30 p.m. The topic, The Making of Grenada and the Grenada Diaspora, the journey of Louise Langdon Norton Little, mother of Malcolm X, from Gudday Grenada to Montreal, Canada, and to the USA. Presented by Grenadian-born Dr. Merle Collins, Professor of English, University of Maryland, USA.
For more information, email ipeemancipationlectures@gmail.com or call K. Julian Gutu at 459-8967 or Simon Green at 459-1582.
She comes from the land, Louise Langdon Little, must be remembered too.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells Grenlec exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
You know, just a footnote here before we move on. There are a couple of notes here. First of all, from John Bruno. John says, NDC is lacking leadership. Will love to see Uncle Tilly back at the helm. T.F. Richards, in response to Donna's comment a little while ago, says, Donna, if I was close to you, I would have shaken all your fingers. You are definitely on point. So yeah, I'm not the only person who shared those thoughts. It seems like you guys do as well. Yeah, crazy stuff going on in this place. But things aren't always what they appear to be. Here comes your national report.
Ministry of Agriculture makes more plants available to farmers as plant distribution season begins. Details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Thursday, July 25th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Ministry of Agriculture is making more plants available to the public despite the challenges of the prolonged dry period. The annual plant distribution season began on Thursday with a variety from which farmers can choose. Details in this report by Mina Buka.
I take great pleasure in declaring this season open, and I wish you farmers all the best.
With the onset of the 2019 rainy season, the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands opened the 2019 plant distribution season. The ministry aims during the period to provide 40,002 plants to local farmers, some of who have completed an application process earlier on in 2019. This year, the focus will include crops such as soursop, nutmeg, and cocoa. The season commemorated with an opening ceremony at the Marable Plant Distribution Center on Thursday, July 25th. Minister of Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolande Bain Hosford, in her remarks, underscored the ministry's efforts to deliver high-quality planting material to the nation during the season.
The commencement of the plant distribution season is very significant as it provides the ministry with an opportunity to showcase the hard work of the workers at the various propagating stations. These workers' efforts are quite evident in the high-quality planting materials made available to the nation's hard-working farmers. It has always been my very strong belief that access to high-quality planting materials is a fundamental requirement in achieving success in crop farming.
Plants sold during the exercise are produced at the 4 different propagating stations located at Marable and Belong St. Andrew, Ashenden in St. David, and Maran in St. John. The ministry, through the plant distribution exercise, encourages farmers to re-establish fields and increase production of crops. Chief Agronomist with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ms. Shira Baldio, says that the ministry has decided to increase the number of plants that will be made available to the public despite prolonged periods of drought. Ms. Baldio indicated the numbers that would be available per crop.
Now the plants we have available now include 11,583 cocoa plants, 9,232 soursop, 3,959 nutmeg, 1,454 mango, 1,066 avocado, 421 breadfruit, 321 golden apple, 225 coconuts, 2,191 minor spices, 4,040 ornamentals, and 5,510 minor fruits and other minor species. In the case of soursop, 5,000 would also be available by mid-August, another 5,000 early September, and we still have 5,000 seeds available for later demand.
The Marable Plant Distribution Center and other farm input services, which included Farm and Garden, Huggins, Renwick and Thompson, the Chinese Agricultural Mission, the Climate Smart Rural Enterprise Development Project SIEP, used the opportunity to exhibit a number of their products at the event. The plant distribution drive will continue at the various distribution centers across the island. They include Marable on July 30th and 31st, and any time after that if plants are available for sale. Ashinden, July 30th through August 2nd, and after that on Thursdays only. Maran on July 30th and August 1st only. Plants available include soursop, avocado, mango, guava, breadnut, carambola, red and yellow plums, star apple, sugar apple, cinnamon, cocoa, and nutmeg. For the Ministry of Agriculture's Public Relations Unit, I am Mina Booker.
Thank you, Mina. Government has approved the establishment of a Development Planning Institute as it advances towards its National Sustainable Agenda 2030. The National Sustainable Development Plan 2030 was announced by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, during his presentation of the 2015 budget. The ultimate aim of the national plan is to improve the way we live, work, interact, and treat our natural environment. It envisions that by 2035, Grenada will be a resilient and prosperous nation, promoting human dignity. The final document for the Institute will be submitted by October 2019. During this week's post-cabinet briefing, Trade Minister Honorable Oliver Joseph said the Institute will coordinate, monitor and evaluate the implementation of Grenada's 2030 agenda to ensure that the plans made by government are realized by the scheduled time.
The first draft of this plan is in circulation, shared with stakeholders for the comment. It is the hope that by October, the final document will be ready so that the Minister of Finance could announce the plan in his budget presentation. Now, this Development Planning Institute will work as the coordinating body or the implementing agency for these development plans. Because so many times we have plans and there is no implementation plan or no particular ministry or department responsible for implementing this plan. After all this work have gone into the development of the plan, government want to ensure that we follow up on this plan by having a committed institution.
Public consultations were held, giving Grenadians the opportunity to share their views on the future of Grenada. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Every summer, the Spice Island of Grenada is transformed into the Caribbean's biggest party, Spice Man.
Coming down to Grenada.
Come experience the warmth of our people, trending theme fats, the revelry, the pageantry, and why we are the Jab Nation. The Kids Our Future shines on August 3rd in the Children's Carnival Frolic and the Junior Calypso Show. 7 beauties take center stage as the Queen of Carnival is crowned on majestic Thursday, August 8th. The prestigious Soca and Groovy Monarchs are crowned on Carnival Friday night, August 9th. Enjoy the pulsating rhythms of the Still Pan at the Junior and the Senior Panorama on Carnival Saturday, August 10th, and Real Steel, August 17th. The March Gras crowns the Calypso Monarch on Carnival Sunday, August 11th. 2 days of frolicking in the Caribbean sun kicks off on Monday morning, August 12th, with the biggest juve in the world, followed by pageant and Monday night mass. The creativity and splendor of our mass parades on the road Carnival Tuesday, August 13th. Join us in the Jab Nation of Grenada, August 8 to 12 for Spice Mass 2019. Many events, one carnival.
Welcome back. The Royal Grenada Police Force now has automated crime incident forms to complement its move towards more effective, accurate crime fighting. The automated software was launched on Wednesday as part of a USAID and UNDP Carry Secure project, which seeks to develop the RGPF's Management Information System. The software is a combination of word processing and data processing that stores and retrieves information expeditiously. The forms will record incidents on a monthly and yearly basis to include information on the person making the report, the victim, suspects, and witnesses.
The incident report database will be used to record all reported incidents. And at the same time, it creates a registry with essential information, generating a statistic report allowing management of all incidents reported.
That was Police Officer Salian Maureen. The new system also has a GIS mapping system, which allows officers responding to an emergency to arrive using the quickest possible route. Officer Maureen is optimistic that the automated system will bridge the gaps within the force and will soon become the new normal for each police district throughout Grenada.
The daily routine of having to write all these information in the book. When you just enter it once, and when you enter this information once, you realize what's happening, huh? You enter the information once, and then you have your registry being created, you have your data, the statistics being formed automatically. So it will take a big chunk out of all the tedious writing. A system that will make life and reporting of all incidents on the island of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique way faster, way easier.
That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, July 25th. Let's recap the top story. Ministry of Agriculture makes more plants available to farmers as plant distribution season begins. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Wonder why I don't hear the man? Good morning.
All your volumes are up on my screen.
Okay, now we're hearing you.
Now you're hearing me.
How are you, sir?
I am good. So there was something wrong at your end.
Okay, there was something wrong at my end.
Ownership, George. Sometimes we have to take ownership.
And you know, I'm the first to do that. I'm the first to do that. Like yesterday, for example, we had an issue and people started blaming, and I said, hold your horses. Moi. Takes guts to do that, boy, but that's the way to go. Listen,
Yes.
I think again, I'm going to try and jump the gun this morning and ask you to just let me take the lead here for a minute. Were you listening to this talk about the NDC's protest up at GBN yesterday?
Yeah. George, I have two subjects I want to talk about this morning, and my third is any other business. I much prefer if that comes under any other business.
All right, that will come under any other business. Now let's hear. Suck it to me, Pitsy.
Recently, as of yesterday, I think it was, George, I had to go to a particular ministry.
Sit back a little bit. Sit back a little bit so we can see that face. Great.
I had to go to a ministry to get some business done. And while I was at the ministry, I ran into the line minister. I wouldn't tell you which ministry. I wouldn't tell you which minister.
Okay.
But he was anxious to get into a dialogue. And I was very reluctant at first. But he asked me a general question. How do I think things are going? Is the economy heading in the right direction? And reluctantly, I decided to talk to him about varying things, jobs, wages, training, housing, things that came to my mind at very short notice about what might make this economy function. And he started a reply that suggested he was coming with talking points.
He was coming what?
With talking points.
Okay.
Talking points. He had these politicians have these agenda items. This is what they would discuss.
Yeah.
In the following order. So I listened to him, and at the end of our conversation, I decided to come home and look at the governance of Grenada from 1979 to now. 40 years, George.
Okay.
And these are not scientific. This goes to my memory. And this is what I came up with from 1979 to now. The PRG was in power for about 4 years. Yes?
Yes.
The interim government for about 2.
Yes.
And what I'm calling Blaise/Mitchell for about 4. The NDC for about 8. The NNP for 22 years. Now his talking points, George, and why I say talking points, was as if the NNP came into power just the other day. So his references to unemployment had a particular tone to it. Like they met unemployment at a high level and they were working towards bringing it down. He wouldn't accept the discussion that maybe a lot of people, because they're not earning a living wage, are falling out of the system. They're no longer looking for work. Yes, George? So I suggested to him, maybe it's about time that the NNP took ownership. That's where we started the conversation this morning, George.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Took ownership for those 22 years and try to explain to us or give us good reason as to what has happened in the governance of Grenada and this economy for the 22 years that they have been in power. In reference to, agriculture, tourism, education, you name it.
Health.
Yeah?
Health,
yeah. All these issues that all of a sudden are problematic because they are not the cause of it. You see where I'm going with this conversation, George? And I don't know why. Maybe that's the way politicians think and argue, huh? That everything starts now, that they don't have history, that they're not responsible for anything, And that concerns me, and that's why I was reluctant to have a conversation with the gentleman. And I will continue to have reluctant to have a conversation with politicians that only seem to have a one-track mind. What do you think, George?
Well, you're going to be reluctant to speak to politicians, period, because I think they all have a one-track mind. And I hope you're not waiting, you're not holding your breath waiting for answers from these guys.
No, but I think it's an exercise that we Grenadians need to do from time to time. We need to sit down, get a piece of paper, put pen to paper, and find out what has happened with the governance of this country. I just choose the 40-year period between 1979 and now, because that is a period that was of interest. My phone is ringing, George. You have to forgive me. I'm not going to answer.
Forget it. Go ahead.
And George, another thing that happened to me recently, I observe the amount of training that is taking place in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? There is the UWI Open Campus, and there is a lot of training taking place in Grenada. People are upgrading themselves. This person is insistent on not hanging up the phone.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, George, are upgrading themselves in many areas, not only for local certification, but for certification in the region. And there seem to be a lot more women upgrading themselves than men. Yes, George?
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that people are upgrading themselves because they either want an increase in wage, or they're trying to find a better job. They're trying to upgrade themselves so that they're competitive in the job market. And I am not sure, George, if we are providing those sustainable jobs for all these people that are training.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is a major concern. And I'm wondering if there isn't a direct correlation, George, between the overabundance of training in Grenada now and the frustration or difficulty people are having migrating. Yes, George?
Yeah.
We are going to have a very highly skilled and educated population in very short order. We can't stop the kids from coming to school. If they can't migrate, they will look towards some kind of training to upgrade themselves, to find a better opportunity for themselves and their families, George, and that is a major concern of mine. I don't know what you think.
You know, Brian, it's ironic you brought that up this morning, because only yesterday Margaret and I sat talking here about the number of kids who are graduating from school nowadays with no jobs. And, you know, you said we're going to have a very highly educated population on our hands. Brian, the standard of education in this place, I really wonder about, you know. I said to Margaret, if you doubt me, if you don't believe my concern about the level of education, come and sit in this chair here, just for a half day, and read the quality of the releases that are sent to me by whether it's government, private sector, or NGOs, whoever, but especially government. These people have difficulty stringing a sentence together or putting things into context. So I have to sit here and spend a lot of time actually editing before I could put something out on my website. We have a serious problem with education in this place.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, George, is that people are trying hard to upgrade themselves.
Yes, they're making
There are a lot of training taking place, and there are training taking place by government. There are a lot of private agencies that are training. That UWI Open Campus situation in Grenada is training a lot of people in degrees and, you know, first degrees, second degrees, masters, and there might be a PhD program for all I know. And the population of people who are using UWI to upgrade themselves, what's going to happen when they can't find the jobs, the sustainable jobs to make use of those, of the education and the upgrading they're doing to themselves?
That's the issue.
And that is a problem.
Yep.
And would they be frustrated? And if they get frustrated, what's going to happen? Yeah? We can't stop them from upgrading themselves, and we should applaud them for doing that. We should applaud them for doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned, George, that the training is great. I was pleased yesterday to see the amount of people at a particular training session graduating. Yes, George?
Mm-hmm.
And young people, old people, middle-aged people, all trying to upgrade themselves. And the reason why they're doing this is because they want to provide for themselves and their families with increased wages and opportunities. I don't know.
One thing I didn't hear you mention is the availability of a lot of scholarships nowadays. We seem to be pumping out scholarships left, right, and center. China's offering scholarships. You've got scholarships coming from England, SGU, you know. A lot of opportunities out there. But how are we going to employ these people?
I am not too sure. You see, a large percentage of this population, of our population in the region, George, did not get education through scholarships. You know. They upgraded themselves and got an education through migration. We keep forgetting that. Yeah, I mean, you can have there are so many scholarships that you can get to, you can give every year, but it might be 1,500 kids coming out of school every year.
Yeah.
Maybe 500 might get scholarships. What happened to the other 1,000?
But like you just explained, it's not that easy to migrate anymore, like back in your day and my day.
It is almost impossible, George. And with the present guy in the White House now, it's going to get harder and harder all the time. I mean, he's trying to send people back.
Yeah.
So we have to have a serious conversation, and not a party conversation, not a talking point conversation. A serious national conversation about how we're going to provide for all these young people that are coming out of school and upgrading themselves. Until or unless that happens, those talking points can go out the window. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's going to listen.
All right, next up, sir.
Any other business, George?
Well, thank you. I'm glad I was patient and waited. No, we began this morning by talking about the fact that the GBN issued a statement yesterday in response to a picket which was staged on their grounds by the NDC. You heard that?
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah, I read the statement, yeah.
Okay.
You know, the reality in Grenada and maybe the region, and there are other countries that are worse than us, huh?
Yeah.
The media has been highly politicized over time.
Yes.
And there are subtle ways that governments get the media to only feature their news or have their people or whatever.
Propaganda.
A simple example is advertisement. Most radio stations or media houses will depend on advertisements to pay their bills. I hear you, George, from time to time talking about, you got to take a break because you got to pay some bills.
Yeah.
If the government decides not to advertise with you because they don't like the way you are programming, you will probably censor yourself over time.
All right, stop. Stick a pin.
Yeah.
One.
Yep.
You have accused me of being a little bit excessive in promoting the government because I run the GIS every day.
No, I haven't accused you of being excessive. I accuse you of a non-reciprocal arrangement with GIS. I don't think you're programming on GIS.
I have never. I've been doing this work here in Grenada I'm into my 15th year.
Mm-hmm.
I have never received a black cent, read my lips, from the government of Grenada.
And they haven't broken you.
And they haven't broken me.
Yeah, but you see, you are in the minority. The majority of radio stations in Grenada maybe totally depend on revenue from the government.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I don't understand the NDC's position and this seeming one-man advertisement demonstration issue. Maybe that is as a result of their frustration. But I think one of your guests may have commented on the frustration that he feels about the lack of visual and transparent and topical issues being discussed in the public forum, whatever that public forum is. And I go back to something that the NDC was doing a few years ago. There were community meetings every weekend. There was in some community with a loudspeaker and talking to the people on issues. Yeah? So the people couldn't hear them through the radio stations, but they could hear them on the block. I don't know that is done anymore. I think we are writing, but a lot of people buy newspapers to look at pictures, George. I don't know what they're buying to read is to read the opinion pieces.
Yeah.
And there is some valuable information out there, and there are some topical issues that need ventilating.
Absolutely.
But I don't know that they have found the right medium to do that, to reach the majority of people. That's my comment on that issue.
Well, there's still a lot of people who avoid social media like a plague, but a lot of information is getting out there. I'm in total agreement with you. That's the reason why I do the kind of programming that I do, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be put out there,
right?
But it's not. I mean, you take a look at the numbers of people listening to you now, compared to the number of people who may be listening to one of the other, TV forums. Incomparable. Because for some reason, the people just don't seem interested in the stuff that you and I are talking about.
Yeah, but you see, don't forget, George, social media. The best person, the person in the world who utilizes social media the best is Donald Trump, with 142 characters. No. Let's be serious. So you can have somebody working social media with short things that will catch the interest of people. You can either have 142 characters, I think it is on whatever he uses, or you can write a long dissertation that people may not read to the end.
Yeah.
See what I, John?
Yeah.
So what the NDC needs to do is get somebody, some young person who can send the messages out on social media at a regular basis and get the shares and the views. And I am not familiar with all these things. I'm just talking out loud. You get the shares and the views and all that kind of stuff to have a presence on social media.
It's one thing to get the information out, Brian, but they also need to know how to get the information out. Some people seem to think that the more they say, the better they do. Horse feathers. You are living in a world today where people have very short attention spans. You need to get to them, bang, and
Donald Trump is dominating the media with 142 characters. And I mean, every half an hour he sends out another one, and that's all they talk about.
Okay, but they're coming in small bits, right? He doesn't write the whole long dissertation. Some people write 3 pages to tell you what could be said in a paragraph, Brian.
So you need somebody to control their social media output in order to get the message out. So it's important that I think that they regroup and find a way, because they have if I understand that young man or young person that you read from earlier, this is a supporter that is frustrated.
Yeah. First of all, it wasn't a young man, it was a lady, and I'm just going to pull that comment up again. She says, I saw this picketing of the GBN as petty. The NDC, if they want people to take them seriously, they have to wheel and come again. I am a supporter, but I have lost all interest in them and politics in Grenada because the NDC is lackluster.
There you go. I'm not saying that. You're not saying that this is a supporter.
Exactly. So that's the issue. They're going to have to change their approach. But let me ask you this, Brian. I mean, this thing, they saw this brief interruption in the news on Wednesday night as a reason to protest. Okay? Brian, we have a situation where we don't know what the hell happening with our oil and gas. We have a situation where somebody, one person, over a 3-month period spends had you and me pay $70,000. Where's the talk about demonstration or picketing, Brian?
Where is the talk about a transparent conclusion to this phone gate? You haven't. There's digital, there's a government of Grenada, and there's an individual. You want to insist that there's a transparent conclusion to this matter, and don't let them forget it, because it's going to go away.
Exactly.
And we would not know if anybody paid any bills.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have to have a way of keeping these things topical. Yeah. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in the crowd. And I suspect that a lot of the politicians of the ruling party have a very skillful way of making us forget.
Yeah. In fairness to in fairness to the NDC, I see that Claudette Joseph, she circulated a couple of letters the other day that were written to the Commissioner of Police and actually to the Governor General. I'm not sure what role the Governor General could play, but she wrote to them. And hopefully there will in fact be an investigation. What bothers me, Brian, is how many investigations have we been promised and not heard a beep about the outcomes? It seems to me that these promises...
I don't know what is the legal standing, George, of applying to the court for information. The Freedom of Information Act, whatever that is. I mean, there in many countries, I don't know if it exists in Grenada, I don't know if it exists in the Caribbean, I think it exists in some Caribbean islands. You can go to court and say, we want information published. Yeah? There are a lot of lawyers in Grenada supporting the NDC. I mean, they can pull somebody's name out of a hat and use that person as a person applying for the information.
You said it, Brian. I didn't. You said they have a lot of people. Why haven't they done something then?
I don't know. I don't know, George. And you mentioned the oil and gas situation. The NDC was in power for 4.5 years while this thing was going on, so they must have access to some information. Mm-hmm. What information did they discover when they were in office? I don't think that they've told us that.
Oh, there you go. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. So there are a lot of gray areas that need to be addressed if they have to regain the trust and the belief of some of these people who have supported them and who are frustrated.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Pitt, do you have anything else under other business?
Only, George, that, Carnival is around the corner. So I don't know that you'll be seeing me on a Friday morning until after Carnival.
So this is your last Friday morning?
Until after Carnival. And after Carnival, George, you let me know whether I'm still relevant.
Well, listen, man, you guys have me up a creek because this week I was advised by Mr. Baczynski, I don't know whether you noticed or not, but Mr. Baczynski was not here yesterday, and he is going to be away until I think the 17th of August. He's going to be away from the program for a couple of weeks. And I'll tell you what bothers me even more. You and I know that a lot of people look forward to his presentations during Juve, Old Mass. I don't know if he's going to be missing that this year, but boy, if he does, a lot of Grenadians are going to be let down.
If I know Alan, he will have a topic, and he will have a caption for that topic, and he will hand it to Cafe Bull, and Cafe Bull will find somebody to go on the road with that topic. Don't worry. It will get on the road if he's not here. But Alan might very well fly in the night before Juve with his placard. There are too many subjects out there, George, for him to miss this one.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. This year,
I suspect this Juve, you're going to see Old Mass coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You might have as many Old Mass bands in St. George's as you have Jab Jab this carnival.
This is my 33rd year back here, and my 33rd carnival since I came back here, and I've only been down to see Juve twice. Who knows? They might put me out of the woodwork this year because, like you say, there's bound to be a lot of stuff. Listen, I've got a couple of comments before you go here. Kylan Nass says, hold on a sec. Fitzroy Adams says, Mr. Pitt, I just hear you say the phone scandal will go away, but we are the ones that have to continue talking about it.
Yes, we have to continue talking about it, and we will continue talking about it, but our audience is small, George. If Mr. Adams look at the number of people that are viewing this program, it's minuscule. Yeah. So there must be some other forum to get that message out there. Otherwise, we're spinning top in mud.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Pitt. And our hearts are broken learning now that you're not going to be around for the next 3 weeks or so. But we do look forward to your return. I didn't know that you were. I didn't know you were that of a masked man. What are you playing?
No. George, Sunday I'm going to the semifinals, Calypso semifinals.
All right. So what does that have to do with next?
I'm looking forward to the lyrics involved in some of these Calypsos.
Okay.
It make me laugh.
So when you come back here,
there's a saying, George, for any period in Calypso in Grenada, or in the region for that, if you pick a Calypso from 1950,
yeah,
you can find out what's been going on in the country in 1950, socially, politically, and economically. Just pull out the Calypso. So I like to listen to my Calypsos, and I'm going to go to Grenville on Sunday, the semifinals, and take it one day at a time from there. I want to have the option of not getting up on a Friday morning.
Okay, fair enough. We look forward to all that you will have to share with us upon your return. Thanks a lot, Brian. Have a nice weekend.
Have a good weekend yourself.
Take care. Okie doke, Mr. Brian Pitt. Let's take a break. Come back, wrap it up.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Donna says that she's going to miss Mr. Pitt and Mr. A.B. Donna, so will we all. Folks, time to pull the curtain down on this Friday morning so that you can go set up yourselves for a great weekend. But not before we have a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. And this morning's word comes to you from the second book of Chronicles, chapter 15, verses 2, 3, and 4. The Lord is with you when you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. For a long time, Israel was without the true God. without a priest to teach, and without the law. But in their distress, they turned to the Lord, the God of Israel, and sought him, and he was found by them. Remember that. Second book of Chronicles, chapter 15, verses 2, 3, and 4. And my dear friends, yes, I wish you a wonderful weekend, but not before I remind you that you got to join us on Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, for the next edition. Boy, we've had some really, really hot Sundays in the last few weeks. You know, it goes up and down. Well, last few weeks, we've been on a roll. Join us again this Sunday morning. See what's a-cooking, okay? In the meantime, God bless you.